So we are on page 80. I go up a little, the last lines. All the deep cosmic murmur falling still. He lives in the hush before the world was born. His soul left naked to the timeless one. Far from compulsion of created things, thought and its shadowy idols disappear. The molds of form and person are undone. The ineffable wideness knows him for its own. This is the experience of one who has moved away from the cosmos, from all creation. His whole being is climbing up. This is the entering into the state of the Brahman, the complete transcendent, beyond the world, beyond time, beyond space. So the cosmos is a play of forces, and therefore sound is an energy. The world of sound is the first energy that went forth, and the play of that vibration was the beginning of creation. Shabda becomes Brahman. That is, he has gone beyond that. Because vibration creates a play of forces and energies, and then the manifestation of life and different forms of being. All these things happen. For him, he has now moved away from all that, falling still. All the deep cosmic murmur. Murmur is for it is becoming fainter and fainter. He's going higher and higher. So that play of all the noise and sound and energies and vibrations seem to fall away from him. He lives in the hush before the world was born. In the supreme transcendent, there is no projection of energy. There is only that. It is total silence. That is the highest state. From that all has come. That is the origin. But that absolute is beyond the play of this diversity, of this multiplicity, of this world and all other worlds. There is a very beautiful poem Sri Aurobindo has written. Towards the end, it is called Ascent. It is divided into two poems. One is Into the Silence. This is his describing that. He is climbing back as if from this world where we are taking part in the play of all kinds of different expressions, slowly withdrawing. This is the goal of the seeker of the supreme, transcendent, the goal of knowledge, jnana yoga. You enter into that. There is no time, there is no space, there is no manifestation, there is no change, there is nothing. There is only that. So his soul left naked to the timeless one. Naked of the outer layers of the being. The soul, we all have a soul, but in us, the soul is covered by mind, life, body, unconsciousness, subconsciousness, all these things. All these are like coverings. They have all fallen off. What remains? Pure soul. Nothing. This is the ultimate mukti. This is the moksha. Only the eternal, the timeless, the sense of time, the sense of space give a certain limitation or a certain, you might say, framework of existence. far from compulsion of created things. The moment you enter into the world of existence, creation, each play of force, where there are also play of forces, each play of force has its own law. It has to be like this. Matter has its law. It follows the law of inertia, of resistance. It contains the divine consciousness, but it is covered by layers of resistance and inertia. Life is energy. Life doesn't give too much importance to discipline, to order, to pattern. It's a play of free energy. It can lead to all kinds of different, you might say, movements in all directions. Mind comes out of life. So mind has a certain aspiration to light. Out of life, mind comes out of matter, life comes out. So all these principles are hiding in the original darkness. The compulsion is the breaking out. They have to come out. That is evolution. Creation in this world is not something static, it is not something flat, it has to grow. And that growth is evolution. Thought and its shadowy idols disappear. This is the highest that we reach with the help of the mind. But in the world of mind, we have idols, are formations, because thought is asking for some light and even ideals. Ideals are not real. They are shadowy ideals. They exist in your head. You say an ideal person, for instance. An ideal man is not a real man. He exists in your head, in the mind. We have created a formula. This is the ideal life. That is the ideal city. This is the ideal. Unless you translate it into the world of life and body, it remains something that is without substance. Shadow has no substance. Shadow is not solid. Yet shadow is a projection of some light. You cannot have a shadow if there is no light somewhere. But that is not something that is tangible. That is why when you, in your head, in our heads, we create all kinds of ideals, virtues, thoughts, ideals. They remain floating in the world of thought. They don't have a solid substance. So all that is going away because these are the guides in our daily life. You have ideals, they are no longer required. They have disappeared. The molds of form and person are undone. Body are the shape. All this goes away. He has gone back into the origin. There is no thought, there is no formula of life and existence, no pattern of movements, nothing. What remains is the vastness, the simple, absolute Brihat, the formula of the Supreme, which is there in the ancient texts, the Satyam, the Ritam, the Brihat. The endless. Where is the beginning of the infinite? Where is the end of the infinite? There is none. It has no beginning, therefore it has no end. It is always there. That is that wideness, the absolute. The moment it comes down into the play of manifestation, there is a beginning. You see, it starts here, it ends there. But one of the symbols, for instance, of the infinite, if you take a circle, where does the circle begin? Where does the circle end? It is there, but there is no beginning, there is no end. That is the vastness, which is part of that ineffable, timeless one. The ineffable that cannot be described, there are no words for it. The supreme wideness knows him for its own, that is, he becomes one with that. This is an experience Mother also has described. At a certain stage, the consciousness of the individual is completely taken up into the transcendent. Only that exists. Nothing exists. The individual, the person, the world around, nothing exists. Only that. That is the experience she is going through. This is the experience that Ashwapati is going through. And that consciousness in which of the infinite, the absolute, he wants to bring it into the field of this earthly experience. This is where you have the beginning of the yoga of Sri Aurobindo. It is not simply retiring into that highest state. Having experienced it, bring it down. So that is why I mentioned that poem, which is very, very beautiful, which is the first part of which is called Ascent into the Silence, into this wideness. The second part is called Beyond the Silence. That supreme absolute vastness, bring it down into the world of manifestation. That is to say, there is no opposition between the individual, the being that exists in a body, and the supreme infinite. When you reach that state of consciousness, so he wants to bring that down. That is what is preparing us for the next section. Among the symbols of yet unshaped things. Symbols is simply a kind of a description or a small expression of something much vaster. As I just mentioned, a circle. A circle is a small thing. It is something you can conceive. Infinity you cannot experience. If your consciousness has not changed, you cannot experience the infinite. The word exists. How do you relate to that experience of the infinite? We have the image of the circle. Then you say, something of that I can perhaps get in touch with. Because to be in a state where there is no beginning, no end. That's why man often needs symbols. Symbols are simpler expressions of things that are far beyond the world of simplicity. They are much, much more. Like you wear mother's symbol, where you have the supreme divine mother, Aditi, and all the 12 aspects. They are all for us words. It's said that like 12 petals, but they are not essentially petals. They are states of consciousness. There are powers. They exist, but we don't relate with them. But if you have that, you say, somehow I am connecting with her. That is the whole, in a way, one reason why man needs symbols. He can relate, he can connect with things which otherwise he would not be able to connect with. You can't experience that. But if you say, this form helps me to get in touch with, at least to have some kind of association with something which is far beyond me. I cannot really experience the Supreme Mother, but I can see this form. Therefore, it helps me to remember her, to get in touch with her, and which is why man needs symbols. Every word actually is a symbol. Every word that we speak, it is a projection of a state of consciousness. And that state of consciousness has found a particular form, a sound. That sound you can relate to. But behind the sound is the consciousness, which, and if I read Savitri, I can, to some extent, feel something behind the word. But I don't experience the experience the author is put behind the word. But something of that vibration enters into me, which is one reason why we read. We read the text of Mother and Sri Aurobindo with our brain, with our heart, with our mind, with our devotion, with all our whatever aspiration we have. But we are not that. We are not experiencing that. But something of that comes into our nature, comes into our being. So you read again. And the next time your being has grown, hopefully. It has evolved. So something more has perhaps been perceived, has entered into the being, and thus, if you read over and over again, there is an expansion of consciousness, it's a deepening of the nature, there's a purification that begins. But it is to be able to say, I have experienced what Sri Aurobindo is writing, is an terrible expression of blind pride. I don't experience this, but something of that has penetrated into my being, and that is sufficient to start with. It broadens my nature, it purifies my being to some extent. So this is what happens. Every word, as Sri Aurobindo himself has said, the word has power. Power is a projection in the form of sound. It conveys a thought. That thought has a certain amount of consciousness. So it is also necessary to remember what are the words we use. We can convey lower consciousness, lower sounds. If we use bad words, then our consciousness falls. It is a vibration. Sound is a force. Sound is a vibration. So thought is a formulation of a particular projection of consciousness. It depends on which level we are, how far we have gone, something of that consciousness touches us. So as he is proceeding, watched by closed eyes, it's a play of opposites. Closed eyes, the dependence that we have on the external experience. You need open eyes to see. But here, you don't need to see with your open eyes, you need to become. Closed eyes, you don't see the outer form, you are identified with the experience. You don't need to speak, you are that. When we utter, when we see, we relate with the outside of things. When we become that, we don't need to relate with the external expression. We're part of that reality. He journeys to meet the incommunicable, that which cannot be described. Hearing the echo of his single steps in the eternal courts of solitude. Again, courtyard, house, and yet the nameless, formless has a house. The play of opposites, because it is only in the mind that you have opposites. In the world of the spirit, there is no opposition, there is no division. All is one. In the world of thought, you say, if it is this, it cannot be that. If it is that, it cannot be this. It is we, with our reasoning, we make all kinds of compartments and divisions. Whereas in the highest, there is no division. This is why a nameless marvel fills the motionless hours. Again, time. Hour is time. Time is supposed to flow. It's the field of change. It's the field of manifestation. Time is a part of eternity, motionless, permanent. Time does not pass, it is. So the sense of the infinite, the eternal, the timeless, the formless, all is an expression of that. When we come with our small nature, we need time, we need space, we need to locate. It is here, now in this way I am experiencing something. But when I become that infinite, when I become the absolute, we become that highest, I don't need time. I don't need to have, because I don't exist. Only that exists. The I has gone. This is what is happening. He has become one with that. Therefore, his spirit mingled with eternity's heart and bears the silence of the infinite. Therefore, we can carry the load, the weight of absolute stillness. Man does not have the strength to be absolutely still. It is the need for constant movement. Time is the field of movement, is the field of change. To be able to be completely still, immobile. Only the absolute is immobile. Because he doesn't have to change into anything. Whatever is in our field of human experience has to keep on changing. Yesterday will give way to today, today will become tomorrow. Yesterday you were something, today you are something else. But if you can continue to expand your consciousness, slowly you become one with that. That is the goal. There is no I, there is no you, there is no world, there is only that. He has become that. That is the supreme. In a divine retreat from mortal thought, in a prodigious gesture of soul sight, his being towered into pathless heights, naked of its vesture of humanity. So he is describing first the experience and now what is happening to him. Moving away from the field of thought. Any spiritual experience has to start with an absence of movement in the mind. As long as the mind is moving, the truth will not really express itself in the consciousness. It is like water. When the water is absolutely still, it is transparent. When it is transparent, that sheet of water, it can be a pool of water, it can reflect the sky. The highest sky can be seen below in the water. The human being is that water. He can reflect the Supreme. If he is completely free of ego, he is free of ignorance, he is free of a sense of separation and individuality, he becomes one with the Supreme. Otherwise, we are always that sense of water is there. Water symbolizes consciousness. In us, this consciousness is restless, moving. Sometimes you might catch one spark of sunshine, one bit of blue sky, but you can't experience the totality of what is above because we are so small. But if that water has forgotten that it is a small sheet of water, it has become completely immobile, like human nature. If it becomes absolutely still, then and only then can we open to the vast consciousness. This is, if you have read the way Sri Aurobindo went through different experiences, he realized you have to silence the mind. Buddha spoke also of silencing the mind. You have to shut down the mind, which is where he took the help of Lele. He taught him how to silence the mind. You silence the mind, it becomes like a pool of calm water. The sky above is infinitely vast. The man below is equally infinitely vast. We can become one with the Absolute. So then you don't need mental understanding. You don't see anything with your individual capacity to see. When I have eyes, I see. Whatever my eyes are capable of seeing, which may be a small field, my eyes have a limited capacity. Behind that is a mind, behind that is a consciousness, behind that is my individuality. But if I don't see, if I become that truth, my soul is one with that through identity. That is knowledge by identity. You become what you experience. There is no need to describe, there is no need to define, there is no one who is there to describe it. You are not there, you are that. Then his being enters into that transcendent. The being is one with the highest. This is the transcendent, above all things. Because there are three stages. The highest is the transcendent, supreme, Tat, the Brahman. Then you have the universal, all around, which is another aspect. And then the third aspect is the individual. The individual is the same divine as that which is above. Within us is the divine, above us is the divine. That is why we can connect with that. That is the reason why it is possible for man to experience the Supreme. A great deal of purification and perfection is required, naturally. Preparation is required. It doesn't come just like that, but it is possible. So his being rose. The individuality became one with that Supreme Brahman, the transcendent. This is the Vedantic Yoga. He is describing that. Now, after that experience, the descent. This is not Vedantic any longer. This is the descent of that into the body, into the world, into the life, into the mind. So here this yoga of Sri Aurobindo, it starts as a continuation of the ancient Upanishadic yoga, but it goes further. We become one with that highest, and you bring down that highest into the lowest. So that in the lowest, in our earthly experience, is the inconscient. Even that is the house of light. In the darkness is hidden light. In the human is the hidden divine. So the sense of separation, I experience the divine, I am the divine. Who is the I who's speaking? There is no I. Only he exists. As thus it rose, it is his being, as thus it rose, to meet him, bare and pure, a strong descent leaped down. The power, the light, the force came into the human nature. It broke down the barriers that really man needs. Otherwise, the small man needs barriers. He can't bear the pressure. He starts to, because we are accustomed to our individuality, even the spiritual man. The spiritual man has his experience of the soul within him. That doesn't mean he has always the experience of the highest. You go within, you find the divine within. But if you have done this yoga, what is above is what is within, is what is without, around. You have the Almighty above, or the indescribable power above, and all-pervading consciousness, the universe, the same consciousness is within. The sense of being a separate unit doesn't exist. That unit is not there. What is that descent? A might, a flame. It's a power, a light, a beauty, half visible with deathless eyes, a violent ecstasy A sweetness dire enveloped him with its stupendous limbs and penetrated nerve and heart and brain that thrilled and fainted with the epiphany. His nature shuddered in the unknown's grasp. His human nature was slowly being completely taken over by this power. The separate human being is no longer a being. A might comes in, a flame comes in, a beauty. These are the universal principles. The principle of the divine manifestation come out as power, as light, as love, as beauty, as knowledge. These are different principles. They are all entering into his being. Beauty is the principle of the divine in the world of form, in the world of matter. That is the divine principle of harmony, of perfection in the world of form. So it is half visible with the deathless eyes, because it is a world of form. And yet, in the world of form, there is a limitation. There is an outline. You can't have a form if there is no outline. So there is no outline. It's therefore a sense of beauty and harmony in a formless being. It's almost a contradiction in terms. It's a paradox. Deathless eyes, the form, the face of beauty. The face of beauty is the divine mother. These are the Shaktis of the different aspects of the mother Shakti that is coming down into the play of manifestation. He's coming in touch not just with the consciousness, but from that consciousness are projected all the different aspects of the Shakti. It is through that Shakti that manifestation is carried on. From that, another aspect, ecstasy, the highest form of powerful Ananda. It is not a gentle, sweet, quiet joy. It is almost madness. Ecstasy is a form of intense Ananda, where you are swept away by the power of a divine delight. You are not yourself anymore. Actually, even break up this word, ecstasy, you get the word ex-status. You are outside yourself. You are beside yourself. You are not yourself. You are carried away into something. So that kind of joy that lifts us out of ourselves, because we center all our experiences inside us. Here there is no himself. It's just the individual is completely wiped off. Again, sweetness. It's a very beautiful aspect of the divine Shakti. Compassion, love, beauty. And yet to bear the pressure of the mother's love is almost unbearable if in us there is still impurity, ego. We always speak of the mother, we wish for her love, her blessing, her protection. We can't bear it actually. As mother says, you ask for my blessings, do you know it is very dangerous? Because you have to be capable of being free of all demands, all ego, all individuality, and accept the play of her force in the being of light, the power of love, of joy. That is why combination of two words, sweetness, dire. Dire is terrible. The word dire means terrible. It's unusual to put these two words. Sweetness you think is gentle. The pressure of so much sweetness, it's unbearable. Because we can't bear the pressure of perfection. We like a little of everything. Because we are little. A little love, a little joy, a little pain. I like a little pain, a little joy. A little love and little loss. That is what we are used to because we are small. But when that smallness has gone, this small individual is no longer there. We become one with the vast. Then the play of these mental opposites are just a play of beautiful words, that's all. It's not opposite. That is why it is a presence, it is a power. These might, flame, beauty, ecstasy, sweetness, they are not abstract terms. It becomes the manifestation of a being, of a force. That force is a projection from the Supreme Transcendent. That force is the power that is put into manifestation, and without which there can be no manifestation. That power is the power of the Mother. The universal force in all creation that sustains, that upholds, that lifts, that changes, fills all things is she. She does. He is. That is the difference. As she says about herself, I execute. He is, she does. It is the same thing. It is his power, his energy, his sweetness, his love that is manifested through her. She is not distinct from him, and yet outwardly it seems to translate itself into the play of a force that is at the same time beautiful, sweet, strong, luminous. When we say sweet, we always associate gentleness. Gentleness, how can it be gentle? Just to break down our oppositions, our ego, our ignorance, our resistance. So it has to be dire. So much love that she has come down into our world where she meets with resistance, with inertia. She can't just float in the atmosphere, break down that if the aspiration is strong, if the call is sincere, she will come down. But at that time, her touch can be difficult to bear, frightening. You can't bear it. You have to be very strong, very calm, very quiet, absolutely free of personal ego and ignorance to be able to bear the connection, the contact with the divine. And not to put one's own interpretation. We are not like that. Therefore, sometimes she comes down to our level and accepts us for whatever we are and gives us with all, like a motherly, you might say, compassion, not expecting us to be perfect instruments of her work, molding us as we go along, shaping us. That is another side. Because she knows that the force that is at work in itself is very difficult to bear. It reminded me of some people who once asked Mother, they're two different people actually, are you the Supreme Mother? Because she was like our mother. She was a friend, she would talk with her, play with us, chat with us, sometimes eat with us. But are you the Supreme Mother? She said, yes. Can you show us that aspect? You will not be able to bear it. I said, please. Person went on insisting. And that person was actually a very strong, big-built man. Very heavily built person, not weak outwardly. For a second she showed that image of the Supreme Mother, and he started to shake, to tremble, to perspire. He was almost going to faint. Couldn't bear the pressure. So she took away that. As I told you, you won't be able to bear it. Because we cannot take into our circle of experience something so far beyond us. We have to be ready for it. We be ready to receive it, as Mother says in our students' prayer. You have to be a hero warrior to be able to bear the pressure of the divine. This yoga, this king is a yogi. He's also a warrior. He's fighting the battle of ignorance, fighting the battles of resistance, and now has become one who is, you might say, in the front of the immemorial quest. He's far beyond, in front of the whole journey of consciousness. So he felt this beauty, the descent that enveloped him with its stupendous limbs. It became something that is tangible. It's not something that is in the atmosphere only, something so solid. Every cell of the body began to thrill with that and penetrated nerve and heart and brain that thrilled and fainted with the epiphany. Epiphany is a manifestation of light, complete manifestation of light. His nature shuddered in the unknown's grasp. His nature, his human nature. The human nature is used to its being partially weak, partially strong. Even in the best human person, there is also a part that is attached to the lower creation of inconscience, of ignorance, of weakness, of failure, which is why inevitably we fail, we die. We are not fully embodiments of light. Therefore, now in him that light is coming down. So his human nature shuddered. It is shaking. He's gone into another, you might say, zone, another plane of experience. Is it 1 second? Is it an eternity of time? In our mental world, we say time moves in this way. We have that image, isn't it? Like one blink of Brahma's eye lasts. Brahma blinked his eye. So many yugas have passed. That is to say, you break out of that notion of time, it goes from second to minute to hour. That is gone. The mind is not the judge. It cannot count anymore. Can you count how long is eternity? You can't. Therefore, the next line, in a moment shorter than death, longer than time, by a power more more ruthless than love. Because when that divine love comes, nothing can take its place. Nothing will, as if, stand in its way. That love will take in everything. Ruthless. Ruthless is merciless. Merciless love, in the sense, it's a play of opposites again. She takes up every part of the being, the lowest part of the being, the darkest part of the being, does not accept any opposition. The divine power. More ruthless than love, happier than heaven. Heaven is our notion of a world where there is no suffering. Our mental notion. We don't know what is heaven, but by definition you think there must be a place where there is no suffering, where there is no sorrow, and that you call heaven. This world beyond our conception. Taken sovereignly into eternal arms, that love of the divine, that force of the divine, it is definitely the love of a mother power, of a creative energy, the force of change, the force of evolution, hailed and coerced by a stark absolute bliss, hailed, dragged, forced, coerced by an absolute bliss that is so strong, it does not allow any other element to come. Not one little bit of something where there is an absence of bliss. In every cell of the body there is joy. In every particle in every atom there is nothing but the divine light. That is the experience. In a whirlwind circuit of delight and force, hurried into unimaginable depths, upborne into immeasurable heights, going down into the lowest, going up into the immeasurable heights. The low and the high, they're part of the same circle. The spiral goes down, goes up, it's the same spiral. So this is the whole nature. It was torn out from its mortality. It is that nature, his nature, and underwent a new and bornless change. This is what happened to him. Should we stop here? It's a very powerful passage.
What is born?
Born is a limit. The bones of the sea, shore. A change that has no limits. It's up to here only. Huh? One more? It's so wrong to stop, I know. But I thought pressure is a bit much.
If you're tired, it's okay.
Hmm?
If you're tired,
No, I'm not that. An indecipherable, and underwent a new and bornless change. An omniscient knowing, without sight or thought. Sight, thought, these are our instruments of knowledge. In the human field, you see, then you know. You think, then you understand. But here, knowledge is, you become, then you are. When you become that, then you know. You don't need to be told, you don't need to be explained. So that cannot be deciphered, cannot be really explained or described. An indecipherable knowing without sight or thought. An indecipherable omnipotence, all might, all power. Knowledge is power, actually. All knowledge is power. All power is knowledge. They are the same. You have different words. But true power is knowledge. And true knowledge is power. And that is the joy. They are all the same. Sat Chit Shakti. Chit Shakti. Ananda. A mystic form that could contain the worlds. This is what he experiences. A form which is not a solid form, but a form. That is the whole thing. It's a projection of the formless. From the Supreme who is formless has been projected this force. This is like the whole prayer, if you like, at the end of the poem Ahana. Ahana is the mother also. She is described as form of the formless, all beautiful. You are a form of the formless. That is not something mind can understand, but you can feel that there is a presence which cannot be described, which cannot be talked about. A mystic form that could contain the world, the whole universe could be taken into the arms of that being, yet make one human breast its passionate shrine. It can fill one human being and yet can contain all the worlds at the same time. So this is the whole play. You go beyond the world of mental logic, reason. This being drew him out of his seeking loneliness because he was moving into that sense of, into the alone, into the absolute, coming back into the world of love, of power, of joy, of manifestation, of action. This is the yoga of Sri Aurobindo. Integral. You don't withdraw from the world into a world of light and silence. You experience the silence, but you bring it back into the world of expression, the world of manifestation. We are here. We live in this world. If you can transmit this consciousness in our daily life, even in a small degree, to be able to transmit this consciousness, you have to have this experience naturally. We don't have it. But still, if there is an aspiration and a sincerity, you can transmit that aspiration and that, you might say, devotion in our outer expression, in our outer work, so that, as Sri Aurobindo has put it so simply, work is the body's best prayer to the divine. With your body you pray. You not only with your heart, with the muscles and your bones of your body also you are connecting. Prayer is a mode of connection, establishing a relation with the divine. So this drew him out of his seeking loneliness into the magnitudes of God's embrace.